everyone, it's Tatiana, proud plant mama. So today I wanted to show you guys my propagation area, and more specifically I want to clean up my propagation area. This is where I keep most of the things that I'm propagating, or I'm just hoping that will come back again because they've died, and I usually keep them on a couple of my different windows, but this is the main area. So I have carried everything over just in front of my setup here just to make things easier. I kind of wanted to show you guys some of my successes, some of my works in progress, and a lot of my failures. Not ashamed to say I fail a lot. This is something that I don't often, I'm not the best about, changing out the water on things. If I think about it, if I remember it, I'll switch out the water. I'll top off a lot of these jars and bottles with fresh water. And occasionally when I look, I am pleasantly surprised by the roots and all the growth that I see. So I thought now would be a good time to kind of clean things up, take everything off the shelf so I can clean the window as well, and then put everything back when it's fresh. And I also think that a lot of my propagations aren't in the best jar for that propagation, because I kind of will just stick something in, I get something new, like a leaf that falls off, I'll stick it somewhere else, and it kind of creates a mess. So let's get started, why don't we? So I want to start off with a couple of my failures just to get everybody excited to start. And I'm not like ready to give up on some of these things yet, but I'm gonna take a look, and I've noticed like some mold growing on these ones, so that's probably an indicator that things aren't going great. But the first thing that I want to show you guys is this gold vase I have, which I was using as my watering vase, and I kind of want it back as my watering can. But I had put in it a couple of palm trees that I had from Florida that just did not do well here, didn't make it. I think the air was just so much drier than they were able to, withstand. They crinkled up really quickly, dried out, and kind of slowly and surely all of the leaves went yellow, went brown, and died. I kind of was hoping that they would sprout new growth, and I haven't seen anything yet. These roots are looking pretty mushy and gross. Maybe these smaller ones, they look a little bit better on this one, but they do have some mold as well. So I'm definitely gonna have to set these aside and kind of determine a plan too for them, if they're worth keeping or if I should toss them. It's really sad. I haven't had success with palms. Those three haven't made it, and it's been pretty depressing. So that is one failure. But I want to quickly follow up with a resounding success of why I feel like I should kind of keep those and keep trying. Because, let me reach into the jar now. This is another one that was completely dead. There's actually two things in here that I need to separate. So this thing was like some sort of flower or whatever, that it does have huge roots growing on it, and I think maybe I should pot it up or do something with it. It's not doing too great sitting in the water. I think there might be some things rotting, so I definitely want to deal with that. My success story here, and I don't really know how to take this because there aren't a ton of roots, and I do have a little bit of mold, but I had this plant, and I need to double check on what it is actually, because I don't really remember. If I do know it, I'll flash the name here later. But it was completely dead. All of the leaves died. As you can see, this was the original kind of stock. This is actually a new one that started to grow, but it all died. And recently I noticed that I have brand new leaves growing here. It's so exciting. I have a baby plant. So I've got 4 leaves with 2 new ones coming. That is super exciting. Again, there is some like mold on the older chunk here, but I do see like new white roots coming along, and I might cut off these older ones. But that is something where I thought it was completely dead, and it had a couple of roots on it, and I was like, let me just stick it in water and see what happens. And maybe it's been like 4 months now-ish, maybe a little more, a little less, and I have totally new growth on this, and it is a living baby plant. So that is super exciting, and I definitely think that this is one that I'm going to maybe cut off this like gross dead part here and let that propagate some more for fresh roots before planting it. Kind of need to decide on what to do with this one, but this is a huge success story. I'm very happy about it. This is the reason why I never want to throw anything away, because I was so like, this is dead, this is a goner, meh about it, and it's grown a new leaf. And I actually gave one to my mom at the same time, and she thought it was dead, also a goner, and literally yesterday she sent me a picture and was like, with a little leaf that was coming out of the ground, was like, it's coming back. I was like, oh my god, mine also came back. Very exciting. The next things that I want to show you, another failure. I had this cutting from a bird of paradise probably 4 months ago now, if not longer, and it has not sprouted any roots, it hasn't done anything like that, but this green leaf has still been chugging along in water. This one is starting to go, so I think I'm gonna cut this yellowing one off, and I'll keep the green one in water, and to me it's just kind of a pretty thing to have on the windowsill. It's like having a bouquet, you know, so it's like a nice cutting to have. So I'm definitely gonna clean that one up and put it in some fresh water here. I have so many of these different like bottles and jars. When I used to thrift back in the day, I got all of these little trinkets. I also have these like shot glasses I keep things in, mason jars, whatever you have on hand you can propagate in probably. So don't feel like you necessarily have to go out and get a specific like propagation jar or something like that. Like you will be able to use what you have, but also some of the ones they sell online are super cute, so why not get those too? Let's talk about a couple of successes while we're here, because I don't want to be too down on myself. Right here, we have root growth, roots. On this is some ivy, and I was walking around outside in my neighborhood, and this was like hanging over a fence or something, and I was like, do you think I could just like propagate this? And I took like a little cutting of it, tore off the bottom of these leaves here, and I am already starting to get growth on the root. So that is really, really exciting. This cute little ivy. I'm not sure if there's any kind of specific species to it. It just looks like typical like English ivy or something like that to me. But that is really, really exciting that we have roots there, and I'm definitely going to keep propagating this so it develops stronger roots. But that is a success story. Another success that was shocking is, I just saw this too and I was really surprised, is a bit of this plant, and I actually don't really know right now what it is. Again, for all of these, I just kind of have cuttings from random places from like so long ago that I just don't even remember. If I find the name or identify it or something, I'll definitely flash it. But again, this one has started to grow roots. So we've got little roots coming along here, and that has just been really good. Again, I've had it in this kind of like shipwreck, put a message in a bottle jar. So that is another one that I'm going to continue propagating until it's grown bigger, and then hopefully I'll be able to pot it up. Putting those there. I might even like put these in a thing together. I'm trying to consolidate a bit too, because I just like have so much going on in the window, and every day a leaf will fall off my succulent and I want to propagate it, and I just don't have enough space. So I can definitely do those together. That's kind of the point. This one it's a similar cutting off of that leaf. Haven't had any success yet, but I will keep it in the water because I think it's off the same plant. So hopefully it will be able to propagate. What else do we have? Okay, my succulents, these are successful. This I'm at the point where I just need to pot them up. I've got roots on them. They're good. But this is a piece of my aloe that fell off. It actually doesn't look that good. It's got like a black end. I might have to cut that off and try again. But in here, I have some tiny little roots coming along, these little succulent leaves that I had that had fallen off. So Those are looking pretty good, pretty cute. I think even this one has like a little baby coming along on it, so that is cute. And I think at this point, these can just be potted in soil. I don't want them to get too waterlogged, but I have had them in water for quite some time. So I think that might be something that I will pot up. I have this like kind of smaller concrete pot that I might put maybe all the succulents in and let those grow, because I have not been putting this to good use. It's been kind of empty since my Christmas cactus needed to be propagated. Speaking of, I just put these kind of dead pieces of Christmas cactus back into Propagate. I noticed the other day that they were getting really mushy in the jar I had them in, so I kind of fashioned like a little clip so I could rest them right on the top of the water and not let them sit in the water. So that's something that I've done. I've seen people do it with like toothpicks around the thing and then prop it up with that. I have done it with like binder clips and different things where I just kind of pinch the end of it and then rest it on the top. So that's like my little hack. I'll show you here. So it's like this, and then it can rest on the top, and that way it's not like completely soaked and sitting in the water if you only have like jars with wider openings. The Christmas cactus, again, something that I had propagated originally and was doing fine, and then it was like not doing fine, and I decided to try to propagate it again, but it's not looking too hot, so I'll definitely let you guys know if I have more success there. All right, moving along. So this is another bit of ivy that's actually like variegated that I'm trying to propagate. I'm not seeing anything here, which is kind of disappointing since I saw it on the other one. I think I'm going to peel off a couple more of these lower leaves that are starting to brown, and possibly these like yellowing leaves. So I don't want there to be like, you know, I want it to spend more time trying to grow roots than have their leaves survive essentially. But at the same time, you also want to have some leaves so they have energy. So it's like a balancing act. And again, not everything I do is a success. I've thrown things away from in there that have just not worked out, and I've noticed them completely brown and go, and I'm like, let me toss that. But sometimes you never know what happens. The roots grow from nodes, in case you don't know that. So that's why you want to kind of pull off some of the leaves to expose some more nodes that roots can come out of on the bottom. So again, I'm gonna try to keep this in water for longer to see if anything happens, like with the ivy that I had success with over here, because I think it'd be cute to have this more like variegated ivy. But again, don't know if that will happen, but I'm always hopeful, always. So not the last thing I have a lot. So this here that I actually have roots growing off of, which is awesome, is part of a leaf that fell off of my roommate's philodendron over there. The velvet, I think it's called like heart, or why am I forgetting? It's like heart or ruby or something. I know I'll remember in a sec. Philodendron, and it does have these little roots going. There's also this like extra piece that can be cut and a piece here that can be cut that's starting to get a little mushy. But this can hopefully be potted soon, whether it's like back in the original to kind of make it more full or as a separate as its own plant, whatever. But that is something that has grown roots, so that's exciting. So here is another succulent that fell off of my jade succulent, I believe, and it has done really, really well. Look at all these roots that have come along here, so that is super awesome. Definitely something that I think I just need to pot up at this point because it's been sitting in water for a while. I don't think the roots are going to get any bigger than this, and I think I just need to put it in soil and let it go crazy in there. So that is something I will definitely do. And last but not least on the succulent train, I think, is some more cuttings, some more leaves here. Oop. These ones are a little tricky because the amount of water here is pretty low, and when the roots are kind of little like this, it dries up pretty quickly, so I'm usually just like topping off the top of these jars. They have roots, these can definitely be potted up. I think I'm gonna put all the succulents into this thing and do a little mini garden for now, since I have it. The other thing I've got going on that is from like 2 days ago, so there are no roots going, but I'll show you kind of like an update on them now, is the Pilea peperomoides Chinese money plant cuttings that I kind of had a breakdown trying to get, but I ended up getting these 3. I don't know, I was trying to repot the whole thing and I ended up kind of doing a bad job, so I took these kind of ones here, and I've heard that they're pretty easy to root up, and you can even plant these, I've heard, straight into the soil, but I do want to see some roots on these before I do so. But I have these 3 sitting. Again, they're like a couple days old, so I haven't expected to see anything, but that is another thing that I feel pretty good about. Speaking of, I just have these in water, again, the leaves of my Pilea peperomoides that have fallen off. I don't think they'll grow roots. I've seen some people manage to grow roots from leaves. I think when they get a little bit of the stem with it, which some of these do have, some of these don't have, but I assume they'll die. This one's kind of starting to go, but I do think it looks kind of cute on my windowsill as like decor, so I'm gonna keep them there until further notice. Two last succulent things before I move into like the random stuff I have. Oh, this is another pup of a Pilea that I am trying to grow. It has a little bit of the stem there and like a tiny little leaf there. So this again fell off of my larger plant because I was saying that in my other video that it shipped really poorly and I had a lot of damage and a lot of leaves and pups fall off. So this one I've also been trying to keep in water and hopefully it will root, hopefully. And okay, and then over here I have some Christmas cactus that has been rooting and is actually doing well. The other ones have not been doing well. For some reason, these ones I kept separated have been fine. I've got tiny little roots there. So these, I think I'm gonna keep propagating until they get kind of stronger roots, and then hopefully this will be part of the bigger plant that I get to replant when all of them are doing well. If not, at least I'll have 2. I'm gonna keep them separate because those ones seem to be doing well and these do. Oh my God, I got this in my hand. So I will keep kind of them all separate to hopefully be able to continue good growth on these ones, and they're still green, which is nice. And again, another piece of aloe that I think I need to wait for them to course over. I was just watching some videos on this and kind of get hard before you try to propagate them or plant them. So I'm definitely gonna keep that in mind with these. All right. And then last but kind of, well, that's not even last yet. So I have something here that died, whatever this is, that's going in the trash. Things like that happen. I have something here that I'm trying to propagate. Again, it's just like a little wild weed that I saw on the ground in like front of my building, and I was like, oh, I kind of liked the leaves. I thought they were interesting, so I just picked a little piece of it. So I thought it would be kind of cute. I'm also just desperate for plants, if you haven't noticed, like picking weeds outside and being like, could I grow this inside? But you know, it didn't have bugs, and it had some cute little leaves going on. So I definitely wanted to see if maybe I could grow this as a little experiment. So that's there. And yeah, this is my last jar I want to show you guys. So it's kind of a hot mess in here, but this is a bit of something as well that had a little bit of roots that were growing, and the leaves started to dry up for some reason, but I do still have living roots. So I want to keep this in water and see if I either get new growth or something there. But again, this is another like little experiment I have going on. And then the last thing in this jar is some of my old jasmine plant that I actually just kind of took apart and have been keeping in water because I still have roots on it. And again, I am hoping that similar to this other plant that I had going on that I showed you guys, this one, and that I thought was completely dead and gone but had roots, I'm hoping that this may spring some new growth if I keep it in water. I probably need to pull off a couple more of these leaves, but I left like 1 or 2, uncertain why. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I also just have like random cuttings here that don't have any roots that I'm seeing maybe something will happen. Again, I don't think it hurts to just have them in water and see if something grows. So that is it for the little update and cleaning up my propagation area. I'm going to kind of get all of this stuff cleaned up and sorted out, and we'll show you what I have at the end.